Hey, it's Beverley again, back with something a bit different. So this isn't a full episode of It's Not a Race. We're calling it a bonus pod. And we're putting it out because I think it's really worth listening to. The previous episode of It's Not a Race included 2 clips from a radio interview I did with ABC Radio Melbourne host Red Symons to talk about this podcast. Now, because Red does his breakfast show really early in the morning, we pre-recorded our interview, and a short, edited version of it went to air a few days later. Now, in my regular job in daily radio, editing for length is standard practice, and everything in It's Not a Race is also edited. But since here in podcast land, we don't have the time constraints of live radio, and in the spirit of leaning into conversations about race, I wanted to give you the full uncut audio of my conversation with Red. All right, over to Red and me.
The advice that I was given when I first started was, make sure when you're on stage that you address straight away that you're Chinese and that you're a woman. Because if you don't establish that you're Chinese and a woman, people will get confused.
Hang on. That's from a podcast. It's not a race. If you were on stage, you could tell, couldn't you? Good morning, Beverley Wang.
Hi, Red Symons.
This is your podcast that you do.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Launched last week to great success. Have you listened?
The great thing about podcasts is you can listen to them whenever you want.
Yeah, well, after this interview, I'll sign you up on your phone. How's that sound?
No, I fully intend to listen.
Okay, cool.
No, I'm actually not happy about it, I've got to be honest.
Okay, let's talk about it. Why not?
Because it was my idea.
The podcast?
Well, not a podcast.
A podcast about contemporary race in Australia? You had the idea first?
Not a podcast. I was searching. I thought it'd be a great thing to do. Except in my segment was called "What's the Deal with Asians?"
Oh, well, let's tackle that. What is the deal with Asians, Red?
No, I asked the questions. What's the deal with Asians?
What is the deal?
No, well, it's just a useful general question about the nature of our culture and how one should, can, might interact with people who have a different cultural background.
Well, let's do that right now. Let's make it a hands-on experience, Red. We come from different cultural backgrounds. What's the deal with Asian? Go ahead and ask me.
First thing is, are they all the same?
No.
No. Obviously not.
Let me ask you this. Are all white people the same?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
No. Well, exactly the metaphor, yeah. If I meet a white person, so-called.
Yeah.
I even feel scared using that word.
No, it's okay. White is not a bad word. White is a totally okay word to use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I will subdivide that mentally into different areas of Europe, essentially, or America, or,
So that's your thought process when you meet a fellow white person?
Not
you're
immediately.
Thinking about that immediately?
Not immediately, no.
How soon in?
Oh, it depends how the conversation goes.
Yeah.
Okay. You are...
I am.
Are you yellow? So you're not.
Do I look yellow?
No, you don't. You look pink.
I mean, you look a bit pink. You're a bit pink.
Righto.
Yeah.
Wang, I'm guessing, is Chinese. But what is China?
No, not Chinese.
See?
Taiwanese.
Taiwanese.
If you listened 30 seconds more into that grab that you just played, I know it's asking a lot, but I actually do clear that up.
Right.
Taiwanese. And look, I've got a mug here that I carry around the ABC with me that says, "It's fun to be Canadian."
You're Canadian?
I'm Canadian.
Righto.
Yeah.
That's
Are you Canadian?
Well, in spirit, I am.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
I don't know if I'm probably more. I don't know if I'm more Taiwanese than PRC.
That's, what does your passport say? Where is your family from? I'm definitely more Taiwanese than PRC.
Are you?
Oh, yeah. My family's from Taiwan 400 years back.
Okay.
So that's a long time.
Okay, so your family is not a Chinese family that, for ideological reasons, left the mainland because they wanted to be capitalists.
I think 400 years ago, it wasn't ideology, it was survival.
Right.
Right? People weren't leaving China 400 years ago because of whatever maybe because they were suffering and they were poor. And so they wanted to go and settle somewhere where they could it's a classic immigrant story, isn't it? Why do people leave countries? For better lives. So I don't know these people. They're dead long before me, but...
How did they travel 400 years
by
ago?
By boat. Across the Taiwan Strait.
Well, what
very
sort of boat?
Narrow... Sorry?
What sort of boat?
Oh, God. Probably a small little fishing boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way you could eat along the way.
I have no idea.
The only other thing I know about Taiwan is there's a very tall building in Taiwan which has a pendulum inside
That's
it
right.
that you can go and look at.
It's massive.
Yeah, have you seen it?
It's a dampener. Yeah, I've been. I haven't seen that itself, but I've been up in the tower and I know all about it. The name escapes me right now, but it's actually a massive, massive weighted ball, I guess. And it's up there because it's such a tall building that when the wind sways, it needs a counterbalance.
Well, apparently this is not uncommon in very tall buildings.
No,
they
I
have
think
pendulums. But the
I think
unusual
it's called
thing,
a dampener. You'll have to look that up.
I like the way you said, I know all about it, except the name escapes me.
Yeah, well, I do. I just explained to you how it works. I just can't remember the name. Is it a dampener? I think it has its own name. Like they've given it a name. Like, I don't know. Not Ben, but they've given it a name.
Probably. Do they speak Mandarin or Cantonese?
Who's they?
The people in Taiwan.
They speak Taiwanese and they speak Mandarin. And in Canada, where I'm
hang on,
from, they speak English and French.
I knew that, but you're probably from the west coast of Canada.
Why do you think that, Red?
Because it's closer to Asia.
I'm just asking. Don't get defensive.
I'm not. I've got aggressive.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't know if you know, but in episode 1 of It's Not a Race, we talk about the infamous Hey, Hey, It's Saturday blackface incident.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you were there. So
I wrote a defence of it.
I read that.
Did you?
I did. I did my research.
Did you think that was a plausible defence?
I didn't, to be honest, Red, I didn't really understand what you were trying to say in that.
Do you remember the Chinese parable?
I've heard that parable.
You have?
It's a weird story.
It's a weird story, but it speaks to, we all think we're the centre of the universe. It's solipsism. We all think it's that we're the most important people. The parable is...
I know the parable. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Explain. Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
go ahead.
Listeners, would you like to hear the parable or not?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Thank you. When God made people, he got the dough, put it in the oven, and some came out a bit burnt. I know it's black people. Some came out a bit underdone, and they're the white people. But some of them came out a beautiful golden yellow, and they're the Asian people.
Yeah, I've heard that story. I heard that story growing up, and I always thought it was weird.
What? When you were 6, you thought it was weird?
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me that people would be burnt. First of all, people are not made of dough. I knew that for sure. Okay? No one's made of dough.
Yeah.
The burnt part, I thought there was something weird about that. The underdone part, I just thought it was weird. I always thought it was a strange story. But let's not change the subject, Red.
Okay.
I want to ask you about this incident because I've watched that video a ton of times, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, like, what did you think as they came out and started to dance? Like, you gave them a low score and you gave them a gong, right?
Probably.
But is that because why did you gong them out? What were you thinking when they came dancing out?
That was my job. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
I didn't particularly think anything about the notion of them wearing makeup, other than there was a deep irony to somebody playing Michael Jackson, who was I think he was Indian or Asian, which are the same thing technically.
South Asian, East Asian.
Okay.
It's a big continent.
Who was wearing whiteface
Yeah.
in order to indicate that Michael Jackson had chosen over the years to become less black.
Do you think Michael Jackson chose to be less black? I thought he had a skin disease that made his skin light.
I think the jury's still out on that one. I think he did many facial modifications.
He definitely, he changed his nose. And right, his surgeries were a cause of much attention and consternation. Absolutely. I'll go with you there.
I remember thinking at the time that it'd become uncomfortable because, what's his name?
Harry Connick Jr.
Harry Connick Jr., that's right. He himself felt most uncomfortable with somebody wearing what is alleged to be blackface, right?
Why is it alleged to be blackface?
Well, because there was white face and there was brown face and there was black face. There were a variety of faces.
Sure. But it wasn't alleged blackface. It was definitely blackface. The makeup was there. It's not alleged black makeup.
Right.
It's definitely black makeup, right?
So and there is apparently a blanket caveat against that.
I don't know that there's a rule. There's no legislation.
Mm-hmm. No.
It's a matter of, I guess, awareness and taste and choices.
You yourself would choose not to wear blackface.
I would definitely not choose not to wear blackface. Would you ever choose to? Just wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. I think it's personally.
Would you wear whiteface?
No.
Would you wear yellowface?
What is? No, well,
would you wear
no.
red face?
No, I would never. I would never red categorically. I would never put makeup on my face to impersonate another race. It just doesn't work for me. I'm a person of color. I know what it's like when I go to a party and someone's at the party dressed up like, an Asian person, and it's strange to me that someone's decided to wear a national costume as their person, because
we're going into that
that's
territory.
a weird contrast. I'm there, they're there, and they're dressed up supposedly as me. That's not what I would do.
Can you wear a Hawaiian shirt?
Of course, red. We're not talking about wardrobe items. We're talking about skin.
I thought
skin
we were talking about
really
cultural
different.
appropriation.
Cultural appropriation is a part of that, but it's a big spectrum, right? There's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. I don't know what the context. A Hawaiian shirt is a celebratory
The sombrero
shirt.
was the famous
Listen,
one.
actually, that's really interesting because a Hawaiian shirt, just like a batik shirt, right, from Indonesia, batik dye, is considered really formal wear. And I remember when I went overseas to work for the first time, I saw a bunch of guys who were in the same program as me wearing Hawaiian shirts. And because my context was that it was like a party shirt, like a keg party shirt, I thought, these guys are really underdressed. How inappropriate. Only later to find out that they were wearing their formal wear, because in Hawaii, the most formal thing you can wear is a Hawaiian shirt. So
whose culture does the Hawaiian shirt come from?
Well, I'd have to research that. I don't know. Is it from Polynesian culture? Is it a blend? Is it a blend of American and Polynesian culture? Polynesian prints surely have to have some Hawaiian shirts. Somehow must have some kind of connection to Polynesian culture in some aspect.
They're brightly coloured and they have surfboards and things.
But how do we get from blackface to Hawaiian shirts? Are we deflecting?
Cultural appropriation.
Right. Okay. So I was saying I would never wear makeup.
And you wouldn't wear a sombrero?
That's not the way I choose to dress up. I just think that's.
But should there be a caveat about wearing a sombrero?
No, that's ridiculous.
Okay,
how can there be rules about wearing sombreros? But you can choose to wear a sombrero and I can choose to say, or you can choose to wear blackface and I can just say, I find that offensive.
What about a Shakespearean actor playing Othello?
That's interesting. What about a Shakespearean actor playing Othello?
He was a Moor.
I know that. I know about Othello.
So he would presumably have a darker complexion
I
than
guess
a European.
In the past, I mean that was one of the few roles that black actors could play in a Shakespearean play. They all had to be Othello. So that's an interesting phenomenon that they all had to be Othello. I think in this day and age, we're having there's a lot of casting. Casting is really interesting now because that's a conversation. People say that they have issues, people of color have issues finding roles. I think.
Can Meryl Streep only play somebody who's white, senior, and from her background?
Well, didn't Justin Trudeau make a lot of news recently saying that if he could choose someone to play him in a film, he'd choose Meryl Streep? So I don't know. Meryl Streep's really. I don't know. I'm not here to answer every single tiny, minute question you may have. Like, well, this is going to take forever, Red. I don't know. How much time have you got on the show?
Well, we'll work around it.
Okay.
Where were we? Where did we start? Where are we going? Tell me about your podcast.
Okay. Thank you for asking, Red. It's called It's Not a Race.
Yeah.
Launched last week with 2 episodes, one on blackface and one on the film Jeddah, which is a really interesting film. Have you seen Jeddah?
Oh, a long time ago.
Yeah. Rosalie Quinoth-Monks is the star. She lives in Utopia in the Northern Territory. Mm-hmm. And that was the first film it was the first colour film in Australia. Mm-hmm. It was the first Australian film to go to the Cannes Film Festival.
When you say colour, you mean not black and white?
Yeah. A colour film. Yeah. And it also was the first film to star 2 Indigenous characters in the lead roles, Robert Tudawali, who sadly died in the 1960s, and Rosalie Quinoth-Monks, who went on to become an activist, a politician, a nun, quite a notable figure. And she spoke to me about what it was like to play Jeddah, to be Jeddah, how it was like to be in the film. And very interestingly, she said that the only film she'd seen before was Joan of Arc, and she had no connection between making a film and what she was doing on set. And it wasn't until she saw the final film at the world premiere in Darwin that she came to comprehend what it was they had been doing.
She didn't know what you've been.
It was astounding. Astounding to think of that. She was just a teenager away from home.
There would have been a time where you could say that about anybody who went as a novice into a film.
Oh, yeah, it was a golden age.
50 years ago?
1955, so more.
If you were
more
plucked
then?
from the streets and put in a movie.
Well, she was plucked from, a youth home for Indigenous children.
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is that nowadays it would be very hard to find somebody who did not know what it was like to be in a film.
Of course, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's been 60 years or so, hasn't it?
So is that the sort of thing you do on your podcast? When you say it's called It's Not About a Race.
No, it's called It's Not a Race.
It's not a race.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as a race?
Of course there is. People say that race is a social construct, but we deal with social constructs in our lives every day. Just like you said, when you meet a white person or Asian person, you're thinking in your head, what category do I put them in? So that obviously shows that race is real because we think about it. We're always trying to filter through race. So definitely.
Okay, I mean, yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is a colloquialism, if nothing else.
Well, you were just asking me all about, China and Taiwan and whether I'm yellow, so obviously race is real.
But you're pink.
Pink. I don't know. I think you're pinker than me.
Probably
Which is fitting, because your name is Red.
Yeah. And as I get older, the colour
Maybe.
drains from me.
Will you consider a name change?
No. What, to Hong?
No, to Pink Symons.
No, I don't like that at all.
Okay.
Yeah. Would you consider a name change?
Well, my name's not a colour. We weren't making a joke just now about me being pink. Oh,
And
we were actually.
Given that you were born in Canada,
Yeah.
you were probably named Jenny when you were born.
Jenny?
Beverley. Considering you were born in Canada, you were probably named Beverley when you were born.
That's a fair assumption to make, Red, that I was given a name when I was born.
Yeah. Was Beverley the name you were given?
My name is Beverley. It has been Beverley since birth.
Right. It's not chrysanthemum
Is
flower.
Red your...
Yeah, it's Redmond.
Redmond?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, who do you do this podcast with?
No, I wasn't named chrysanthemum flower. Or jasmine.
Who do you do this
Or
podcast
peony.
with?
Who do I do it with?
Yeah.
My guests?
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I thought you would do it's just you
I'm the host.
and your guests.
And my guests,
Oh,
yeah.
you're not doing it as a two-hander?
No, doing it solo.
Would you be interested in doing it with me?
That's a separate podcast, but let's pitch that.
We could.
Yeah.
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 All right.
What would we call it, Red?
What's the deal with Asians?
What's the deal with white people?
Done.
Okay. So that's the conversation I had with Red Symons for his ABC Radio Melbourne show. If you had any thoughts or reactions to that conversation, I'd love to hear them. Send an email or a voice memo to notarace@abc.net.au. Share the episode or tweet me at Beverley Wang. Okay, another fresh episode of It's Not a Race coming to you soon. Bye.